J7 Bricks, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, we're doing the video that you've been waiting for. Today is the comparison between the Mould King Millennium Falcon and the knockoff Lego UCS Millennium Falcon, which is a one-to-one replica of the Lego version, just not made by Lego, in this case made by King. And you can see how massive these sets are. I'm leaning a little bit over the table here, but I'm 6'3", and here is the Lego one right in front of me and the Mould King one in front of that. These are some pretty big sets. We're gonna do things in a little different order today. I know, please be patient. We're on the very razor edge of being the first level of YouTube monetized on this channel, and when we are, I would appreciate it if some of you wouldn't mind giving us a super like or joining the membership on this channel, because I'm sure there will be more fun stuff like blooper videos and behind the scenes and all that stuff going on when we get that on there. And if you don't mind, give us a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. It really helps out the channel, guys. Thank you so much for all your support. Two more things before we get started with this video. Thank you to every single one of you who used the coupon code down below at herotoys.com, because you guys helped fund the next Mould King set we're going to be doing a review of, or the next knockoff Lego set we're going to be doing a review of. Probably both. But it's a big help to the channel if you go there and decide you want to buy a set and use our coupon code, because we get some benefits from that, and it helps us get sets so we can review them for you. So thanks a lot for that. And a big thank you to Hero Toys for giving us the code so that people can help the channel out. Also very awesome. Without further ado, I present to you the comparison of these Lego ships. Yes. All right, let's start off with some basic facts about these models here. The Mould King is going to run you about $330 to $375. The actual Lego UCS Millennium Falcon will run you $850 before taxes. The knockoff versions of the Lego UCS Millennium Falcon will run you pretty much anywhere between $230 and $270. So the knockoff one is about $100 cheaper than the Mould King one. And then the actual Lego UCS one is just ridiculously overpriced. Both of these models measure almost exactly 32 inches from the tip of the front mandible to the back of the engines. And then both of them also measure almost exactly 22 inches from one side of the ship to the other side of the ship. So as far as scale, they're both minifigure scale. And as far as exterior dimensions, they're both pretty much the same as far as length and width. Height, if you want to call it that, might be slightly different. This is the side of the Mould King Millennium Falcon. You can see it's pretty thin on the mandibles. And then obviously it gets thicker as it goes towards the back of the ship. All right, and you can see here on the side of the knockoff Lego one, it is a little thicker on the mandibles. And you can see it gets thicker towards the back as well. All right, here is the underside of the knockoff Lego UCS one. You can see we do have the turret here. It's a little bit under the stand, but I'm not going to take the stand off and put all the legs on for this review, because that's just a lot of work to do just to reverse it. I do really love the stand on this. I would recommend you get one. It's super awesome. But there you go. There is the turret on the bottom. You see there's not much detail except for around the edges. You've got the plating. On the bottom, there's not really too much detail. You got a little bit of greebling by the turret. You've got that. And then you've got the underside of the mandibles. And that's really it as far as detail on the bottom here. There's only one other thing I would say about the bottom of this one, and that is you've got this little sliding piece here. And when you slide this open, the little gun from Empire Strikes Back drops down, the one that shoots the stormtroopers as they're about to take off. That's a pretty cool little feature of that. And then you do just kind of have a gaping hole where all of the landing gear went. Let's take a look at the underside of the Mould King one. You can see there's actually quite a bit more detail. Mould King. Let's fill down again. There's quite a bit more detail under here. There's a lot more plating. There are no sections on the bottom of the Mould King one where they just left it as the unadorned bottom of a plate. So there is just quite a bit more detail. You can see they do have the center gun on the bottom as well, but they do just have quite a bit more detail going on down here. Again, nothing wrong with the Mould King one in terms of kind of the way it looks on the bottom here. Just stability is a factor, as this part right here tends to fall off on its own under its own weight and drag other parts with it. All right, let's just do an up top comparison here. So this is the Mould King. We'll start on the front mandibles here and just kind of slide towards the back. You can see what this looks like. They do have some great detail on the exposed parts on the mandibles. They have a lot of really neat detailing on the top of the Mould King. Get you a view of the dish there. And there's the engines in the back. So it looks pretty good on the top. Again, per my review, some of this, it's very hard to get this stuff to line up to look good. I spent some time trying to fix this for this review. So to make it look as good as possible, to give it a fair shake here. So it does look pretty decent. There are some issues with spacing between the plates, but if you don't ever touch it, it looks really good on the top here, from the top down. And let me just do a little bit of side view of the Falcon here from the top. This is the Mould King. And then let's switch over to the Lego UCS. Because I'm using a gimbal here, it won't let me do it the same way I did the Mould King, because the gimbal won't turn that way, because the Lego UCS set, or the knockoff Lego UCS set, is up on the side. So we'll kind of go over it this way. This also has really nice details on the engine parts here on the mandible. There's the dish. This also has really nice greebling on it. There's your cannons. The engine's on the back here. This one also looks very nice. Now, the thing to bear in mind when comparing these two, the Mould King Millennium Falcon is based on the model used in the Return of the Jedi movie, while the UCS Millennium Falcon is based more on the original Star Wars movie model. So they are based on two different models. It accounts for some of the differences in looks. If you've ever paid attention in the movies, especially the original trilogy, because they were before these were digital ships saved to a computer so they could use the same ones every time, they had to build different models for the movies at different scales. And so there were sometimes not so subtle differences between the models. And so there they're gonna look slightly different. The mandible spacing and length. This one clearly has stubbier mandibles than this one does. That's not a problem with the design. That is just solely based on the model of the Millennium Falcon that they were basing the brick-built model on. So this is the front view of the Mould King. Maybe I'll turn on another light so we can see in there. There's actually detail inside the mandibles there. That's really cool. And this is the front view of the Lego UCS model. No details in the middle. It's kind of just open to the frame, but they do have some greebling on the inside of the mandibles there. Let's take a look at the cockpits. This is the Mould King cockpit. If you've seen my review of this, you know I really like the interior of this Mould King Millennium Falcon cockpit. They've got the seats in there, they've got yolks, they've got instrumentation. It looks pretty good on the Mould King. Here, for comparison, is the UCS Millennium Falcon, and there are no seats. There's just a bare stud floor to stick figures on. There's a couple of instrument panels, but no yolks or any real detail in there. The Mould King is the clear winner as far as the cockpit. In fact, I think I'm going to copy some of the cockpit details from the Mould King and mod out the UCS cockpit because it's really bare, and this just looks so much better. Now, one thing I noted on the Mould King, and I tried to, again, straighten it out, but if you look, you can probably tell right here that this is tilted this way. And there's really nothing I could do to get that even. It doesn't sit on here, right? So it's always a little cockeyed there. If you're looking at the front of the UCS Falcon, these things are pretty much straight on. And that, again, is a problem with the Mould King. So this is the default Mould King engines. The ones that you build according to the manual when you get the model from Mould King in the box. Parts come in the box. Whatever my complaints are about the Mould King, the engines look fantastic. These are super cool. Again, there is a channel behind the clear parts of the engine that you could run LED lights through and light these up, and I think that would look really cool. The engine design on this is fantastic. These engines on the UCS version of the Falcon, this is not what comes in the box. The $850 UCS Lego Millennium Falcon comes with janky tubes that you put behind the grill, and it looks terrible. Just completely awful. And if I had spent $850, I would have been super cheesed about it. This is actually a mod. They sell these in kits now at some sites. You can also get the plans for free from Rebrickable and buy the parts from like WeBrick or whoever you want and build this mod. This looks really good. Not as good as the Mould King ones. Those look fantastic, but this looks really good. But you don't get this with either the knockoff or the UCS Lego Millennium Falcon. So keep that in mind. If you want engines that look good, you're going to have to mod these because the original ones are terrible. All right, here's some of the greebling on the side of the UCS version here from the cockpit back. That looks pretty cool into the engines. Here is the Mould King version. Also looking really good. Very nice. Although you can see on the back of the Mould King Falcon, this does not match up here to make it look good up there. If you push it up to match up here, then yeah. And then I just screwed up all the plates up front, but there you go. As this is the last video I'm doing with this Mould King Millennium Falcon, I'm going to take the top off again so we can compare the interiors with the Mould King and the UCS Falcon. Let's just state the obvious here. The UCS Millennium Falcon is stood up on the side like this and nothing is falling off. And if I bang on the table, you can see it shakes it a little bit because I think the table is a little wobbly. I'll have to fix a leg there. But nothing falls off. Nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has slid off the top. I'm a little afraid to breathe on this one. This one is, not stable at all. There's a good comparison for you. If you buy the stand for this one and stick it on the stand at that angle, it is completely stable. And you can easily reach around the Falcon right here on either side and grab the bottom part of the side of the stand and pick it up and move it. I moved this over to the table from the shelf where it sits normally. No problems. I was not worried at all. I have moved this Falcon probably 30 times on and off its shelf. I am not afraid of this falling apart whatsoever. I'm just gripping the sides of the stand and you can see how stable. I mean, look, I can shake the UCS Falcon on this stand and it's fine. And if I put all the plating back on, it would still be fine. I move it all the time. I am scared to breathe on this one for fear of it exploding. Although not now, because once this video is done, boy, I just want to hit this with a baseball bat or something. I have not moved this set since I built it. Well, that's not true. I moved it to this table from my building table, and then I had to fix parts of it that broke the one time I moved it. And I have not moved it since because I'm afraid it's just going to explode. While I was filming the review of this one, I accidentally knocked one of these clear stands off the front. The other one kicked out on its own, and the whole model pitched forward, almost fell off the table, and I had to catch it, and then I had to fix a bunch of stuff that fell off. So this thing is not stable whatsoever. If you take any of these clear stands out, it will crash. It tips whichever way the stands come out. And if you accidentally knock one of these stands down, it is going to come crashing down. This is one of those models that you're going to build somewhere and hopefully never have to move, because it is not stable at all. There's another thing. Both of these, in my opinion, need a little bit of fixing up. You could display this one as it comes from the factory, but the engines are awful. I fixed the engines. I fixed some of the issues with this being a King. It didn't have the right ingots and stuff. I fixed that. I fixed the little sticks on the back. There's a video I'll link for that in the description below. Other than that, it doesn't really need anything, but I kind of want to fix the in between the mandibles, and I want to modify the cockpit so that it looks like this cool Mould King cockpit. Other than that, pretty good. Doesn't need a fix for being a display model. This thing, it takes up a lot of space. And so if I wanted to display this, I would like to display it like that. I would love to do that with it. However, the amount of modification that would take, I'm probably going to end up getting rid of this instead of spending the time trying to modify it. None of these plates on the top, you'll see here when I start taking it apart so we can compare the insides, none of these will stay on. If you tip this in any way, which is what happened when it pitched forward to go off the table, everything slid off and fell. And then I had to fix some of it. So these would all need to be modified to stay on here when it's tipped. You would need to modify the way the mandibles are connected, because I don't think they would stay on without something holding them up, right? These clear stands are holding the weight of these up. If you tilted this up on its side, I think the mandibles would eventually just break off. It would require a ton of work to get it to be stable enough to do what you can do with this right out of the box. And let me just mention the Lego UCS and the knockoff come with 7 landing gear. And these just pin into the bottom of the Falcon. So you could display the Lego one flat like this, or you can take those off and use the stand and display it like that and save a lot of space. So you get the option there. You really don't have that option here. There's no landing gear that came with it. It's just this janky stand. Now, as far as taking this Millennium Falcon down to the inside, this just lifts right off. This is very easy to place because you have these two Technique bars here, and they slip in between the pins on the either side. So that makes it really easy to get it off and put it back on. These cannons are posable and they stay where you put them. So that's pretty cool. This does have the window inverted on the inside, just like the Mould King. This does have an approximation of the gunner seat. It's not great, but it's there. It's just on a turnstile Lego, so you can just pull that off. This bit slides out. It's just stuck in with this yellow cross piece, and that just slides into a Technic brick here. You can see there's no real detail here. However, once we get some of these other ones off, this, same deal. You've got the yellow cross pin that holds it on. This just kind of slips around some other pieces to hold it on, and then this part right here goes between here to hold it on. But it's actually, it doesn't sound stable, but it's actually very stable once you've got it on there. Again, not too much detail in here that you can expose. Here's the little hidden gun in the bottom. This just kind of is sitting in there. And then this is actually stuck on with Lego studs, both here and up here. Now, when I take this off, this UCS version, it does have a little flop, but it's pretty stable. It's not going to break. All right, so this is basically the only interior detail in the front of the ship. You've got the iconic hollow chest table here with the bench around it, and you've got some computer stuff in here. There is the padding on the hallway, and then there's a sticker back here to make it look like you can go farther back. We know it's just the Technic frame behind there. There's no real passage built into here. So not a super lot of detail in the UCS Falcon as far as interior. Going farther back, this plate just comes off. There's again, this wasn't even stuck on there with it and it wasn't coming off, but there's another yellow cross piece that goes into a Technic brick. This is kind of the same deal. Down here, I'm probably doing this in the wrong order. I think this middle part's supposed to come out first, but again, yellow cross bits. Do I remember how this comes off? Oh, here's another piece that's just lightly held on. Actually, I think I'm not supposed to take this off. So I'm gonna leave that. I don't remember how that comes off, but I think it's actually pinned in here. There's no detail under it really anyway. This is the one piece that is loose and kind of falls out. You can see down in here, there's the floor grate where they hide when the stormtroopers search for them in A New Hope. And this piece is meant to sit in there and cover that. That actually does pretty much every time you touch this and move it somewhere, that kind of pops out. So that isn't great, but that's just the one piece. There's some cool detail in here. There's a cool sticker on that. There's another fake passageway with a sticker. You've got these, I don't know what these are meant to be, the escape pods or something, but these actually open, these little hatches. They don't go anywhere, of course, because it's just an empty section next to that, but you do have a little bit of detail. A little bit. Honestly, the UCS Falcon is more or less meant to be looked at from the outside, and maybe take one panel off or so to show some details on the inside, like the iconic scenes details and nothing else. Because There is nothing in here. It's just a big empty space. There's nothing in there. There's nothing up here except for that gun activation, you know, nothing here. That's pretty much it as far as details on that one for the interior. Now, on the other hand, I could see where you could make a case for actually leaving the plates off of the Mould King Falcon once you've built it and displaying it as an interior only. I'm going to have to, I am not going to be able to do this one-handed like I did the UCS Falcon. This model is not stable enough to do that with. Let me tell you something. So for this one, this will pull off the top of everything. This is the piece behind the cockpit. Let's shove it all in here somewhere. This piece, the uneven piece on the Mould King that you can't level in the front here, you've got to be very careful with this piece because this will fall. Now we've got the front exposed. What I'm going to do is just take all the plates off for the Mould King and then we'll come over and look at it because I can't do this with one hand. I'm not going to take all of it off. You can go watch the Mould King review if you're interested, but just for a comparison of the major sections. Again, this back is, oh, there, we lost something. This back is majorly unstable. And here's the Mould King's guns, which in comparison to the Lego ones, not quite as stable. All right, so as you can see, the Mould King one is clearly built to display the inside of the Falcon. So you can see the actual passageway from the cockpit into the main section of the Falcon. We've got all this cool detail with the padding and stuff on the walkways. You've got a bunch of cargo up here in the mandible area to be loaded. You've got the iconic holotable area with all the computers. You've got another hallway that comes back. You've got a bunch of couches or beds or whatever back here. You've got the main engine and storage area. You've got this area over here. You've got way more detail in the gun seat here. So I could see where you could make the case for even displaying it like this. Maybe if you could flip it up on its side, would still be better. But you definitely have a full interior in here to show off. Yeah, you don't really got much on the UCS one to show off. So that's basically it. So the Mould King one being about, $350-ish, we'll say on average, which is about $100 more on average than the knockoff of this. We're just going to throw the UCS actual Lego one out of the picture because that's $850. This, in my opinion, is the better buy. Get a knockoff Lego UCS Millennium Falcon, fix the engines, get one with a stand. I'll put the link for Hero Toys down below. You get 7% off with my code. You help the channel. Save 7% on it with the stand. It's I think $260 something. And then you save 7% off of that, but you get the stand to put it on and everything. That's probably the best buy. The Mould King is, if you have the time and patience and you want to spend $100 more, it comes with a stand that you have to use, and it only lets you display it horizontally. And it comes with the clear stands that you have to use or it will fall over and break. And then you're going to have to figure out how to mod this to make it stable to display it how you want. Because as it comes, I wouldn't even trust this sitting on a shelf for a while. I mean, I've come down, you could see my review. I've come down and things have fallen off on their own. So you're gonna want to mod this somehow. And it seems to me like it's just gonna be too much time and work. So I would pick this all day over this. Looks they're both very nice looking on the outside. This does have a little more detail underside. It's got a better cockpit. It's got better engines. I don't really care too much about the inside because, again, it's on a shelf and I'm just displaying it. So for me, I kind of like this one a little bit better. I do kind of like the looks of this, but again, you can't make it look good everywhere without massive gaps in the plating. So that's a problem. Yeah, I mean, you could just see my review for this for all my complaints about it, but comparing both of them, I would go with the knockoff Lego UCS and get the stand with it and mod the engines and be done with it because it's pretty nice, right? Like I said, I'm probably going to mod the cockpit. I'm probably going to mod the mandibles a bit in here, but it's easy, kind of easy stuff, and it's not needed to display it. This is just unstable and it's going to fall at some point and destroy itself. So you're really going to need to mod that just to make it stable. And again, you can go buy the original mock plans for $80 and see how many more Legos you're going to need to buy to mod it so it's stable. But is it really worth it? I mean, at that point, you've already spent over $400 and you're going to be spending more to get the parts to make it stable. You might as well go buy the $850 Lego UCS at that point. This all day, this not so much. That's really all I've got. Reviews for both of these sets are up on the channel. That's the comparison between the two of them. Once again, my name is Jay. This is 7-Star Bricks. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Go ahead, give us a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. It helps with the awful YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you guys here for the next one. Because you guys helped us out with Hero Toys by using my code, I got some money to get another couple of sets to compare. So we'll be back. You're still here. You can leave now. Are you still here? Because I want to go. So I'm going to go now. Okay. Goodbye.